Let me guess. You feel misunderstood. You feel attacked. You feel like she doesn't get you. So you defend yourself. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Every time you defend yourself, you stop seeing her. Because while she's talking, you're not actually listening. You're building your defense case in your head, replaying her tone and reacting from the boy in you who never learned to hold pain. And every time you protect your own pain, you make her feel like hers doesn't matter. Not because you're a bad man, but because you're hurting too. And you protect that hurt like armor. But while you're defending your pain, you're missing hers. And that's where everything starts to break. If you want to stop missing her pain, you have to start with something men are never taught. Train your nervous system to handle discomfort, because a woman's emotions can feel like high voltage, and if you've never learned to hold that, you'll take every storm personally. You'll hear her fear as accusation. You'll hear her sadness as criticism. You'll hear her pain as you're not enough. And the moment you take it personally, you stop listening and you start defending. Here's the shift. Hear the pain underneath the words, underneath her words. When she says, I don't feel loved, she's not saying you're failing. She's saying, I feel distant. I feel disconnected. I'm scared of losing you. But most men respond with, what are you talking about? How can you say that? Didn't I do X, Y, Z? That's the difference between a man who protects himself and a man who creates safety. And I'm not saying tolerate disrespect. If she crosses a line, step back. But most of the time, she's not attacking you. She's reaching for you. And you miss it because you're listening with your wounds. And I know the next question because I lived it. What about my pain? Why does it always have to be me? Don't I matter? You do matter. Your pain does matter. But she can't meet your pain until she feels safe expressing hers. That's not unfair. That's polarity. A man sets the emotional tone. He anchors the space. He becomes her calm, her grounding, her stability. Not because she's weak, but because masculine presence creates safety. And presence isn't easy. Presence means staying open, even when you feel misunderstood. But once she feels understood, once she feels held, once her guard drops, that's when she finally comes towards your pain. And I get all of it. And I get all of this because I lived in that illusion too. I thought I was a good man, caring, empathetic, calm, trying my hardest. But even then, I was still protecting my image. Because to admit I was hurting her meant admitting the man I believed I was didn't match the reality I was creating. So when she said, you don't support me, I don't feel connected, I don't feel chosen, I didn't hear the meaning. I heard a threat. So I defended myself. What do you mean? Didn't I do this for you? How can you say that? It's not fair. It wasn't about listening. It was about protecting myself from the shame of seeing where I fell short. Men aren't weak, but the ego, fragile. And the moment that ego cracks, you can finally see her pain without collapsing into your own. Here are 3 simple but not easy ways to stay present instead of defensive. Breathe before you speak. 1 breath. That pause is the difference between connection and collapse. Listen for emotion, not logic. Her words are the surface. Her pain is the depth. Meet her in the depth. Tell yourself the truth, even when it hurts. Ask yourself, am I avoiding something? Am I scared to admit I caused pain? Am I blaming instead of being honest? Am I confusing trying with actually showing up? Strength isn't perfection. Strength is self-honesty without collapsing. Nothing worth having comes easy, and nothing tests a man more than love. Most men will never experience the intimacy they crave because they never stop protecting their own pain long enough to see hers. They defend, they justify, they shut down, they make everything about their wound. But the truth is, her pain wasn't the threat. Your fear of seeing your own pain was. You want deeper connection? You want softness? You want trust? You want intimacy that feels sacred? You can have it. But only if you're willing to face your pain first. Because when you can hold your pain without running, you become the man who can finally hold hers. And that's the moment everything changes. You didn't see her pain because you were too busy protecting your own. But the moment you stop, the moment you breathe, the moment you listen instead of defend, the moment you choose presence over protection, that's the moment you become the man who can finally love and finally be loved.